In 1927, the same year as our newspaper today, Charles Lindbergh made his famous flight. He was the first man to complete a solo, non-stop transatlantic flight. It was a bumpy road to developing today's airplanes. At the end of this video, there will be another movie clip showing some barnstormers, which were popular in the 20s. Now it's time to swoop your plane on down so we can read a newspaper together. Today's paper is the Seattle Post-Intelligencer, dated Saturday, May 7th, 1927. "300 periled in smash-up of Limited." Kelso, May 6th. 300 passengers northbound on the Northern Pacific Fast Portland-Seattle train due in Seattle at 9:45 p.m. escaped without a scratch here this evening when the train struck a load of telegraph poles stranded on the tracks south of town, and the engine and 5 coaches jackknifed. The load of poles was on the trailer drawn by a motor truck. Unable to move them from the stalled position, the driver of the truck unhooked the trailer and drove to a safety as the oncoming passenger train bore down. Engineer Peter Olson, when he sighted the derelict, threw on the air brakes, and with a grinding roar, the train slid into the obstruction. Several 60-foot poles that were on the trailer were reduced to splinters. The rails spread beneath the train and twisted into weird corkscrew shapes as engine and coaches plowed into the sand. Fortunately, the train did not telescope. Had it done so, a great loss of life must have resulted. Instead, the cars swung off, 2 of them 20 feet off the right-of-way, and doubled up like the blades of a gigantic knife, injuring no one. Preparations were immediately made to detour a train through Longview with the passengers from the wreck. This would delay arrival in Seattle about 5 hours, it was said. Kiss your wife and you'll see ripe old age. Redmond, California. Kiss your wife every time you leave the house and you will live to a ripe old age. This logic for this statement explained by Charles Robertson, safety director for the Pullman Company, lies in the fact that when a man is in a happy frame of mind, he is more cautious, and he has his mind on the job and his own safety. More than $2 billion a year are wasted in the United States as a direct result of preventable accidents, fires, etc. These huge totals are constantly being reduced, however, through application of safety measures, Robertson said. Hope lost for French flyer. All hopes that Captain Saint-Roman, French transatlantic flyer, is still in the air have been abandoned here. The only hopes held out for the safety of the flyer are that he has been picked up by a tramp steamer or that he made a forced landing on the African coast in some deserted spot. The latter hope, however, is very slight. If you're enjoying this video, check out my second channel, Life in the 1800s Newspapers. Much obliged. Woman arrested by liquor sleuths. Police dry agents Wednesday night arrested Mrs. Tenna Kittleson, 42, at 1711 Yale Avenue, charged with sale of liquor. Her bail was at $500. It's brain food. I didn't feel like work at all in view of that condition. I made at once a friendly call upon a dietitian. He said, "Instead of meat, eat fish. 'Twill fill you full of vigor and give you back your old ambish, restore your youth and vigor." And so I sallied forth at noon, my soul for victuals pining, and headed for Ye Greasy Spoon, where all the bunch was dining. I didn't read the bill of fare, my will was weak, I reckon, and so leaning backward in my chair, the waiter I did beckon. I said, "I'd like swordfish steak, it's ages since I bought one." "And waiter, please, for goodness sake, don't say you haven't got one." "I'm sorry, sir," the gent replied, who by my table hovered, and though in deep chagrin I sighed, and speedily recovered. "Well, bring a T-bone steak," I said, and thereupon felt happy, "and bring it to me rare and red, and kindly make it snappy. Now I'm supposed to stick to fish, the doctor's orders, waiter, but since you lack the kind I wish, I'll have to diet later." Did you try the best 35-cent lunch in the city at 911 Pike Street? Did you know you can get a loan on your auto at 909 Pike Street? Ever wear a suit of clothes pressed at 907 Pike Street? Know you can get an excellent haircut for 50 cents at 907 Pike Street? Ever cast your eyes on that photo work in the window at 905 Pike Street? That's a very fine grade of furniture is being sold at greatly reduced prices at 902 Pike Street. And you should know that the Stanley Hotel, 9th and Pike Street, has the cleanest and best rooms in the city for the money. Waldorf Hotel, 7th at Pike. The room you want at the price to suit you. Rates from $5 a week. Music Week. Your knowledge of notes may be limited to the kind that fall due at a bank. In music, you may only be fitted for turning a phonograph crank. You may think of a flat as something with a parlor, bedroom, and sink, of a sharp as a guy who plays poker, and a bar as a place to drink. Your voice may sound like a foghorn or a rusty axle squeak, but by gosh, we all can whistle during National Music Week.
So, Mr. Tarpey, it was you that called me on the phone last night and posed as an aeronautical expert who wished to help me build my monoplane, eh? Sir, I will have none of your nonsense. Our interview has terminated, and I warn you not to molest me any more. Good evening, sir. Your nose is like a coal barge, because it rhymes with large. Nevertheless, I have discovered a marvelous improvement for airplanes. It is this: make the propeller out of an eagle feather instead of wood. Besides, who ever heard of oak eagles? Although there is a bird's eye maple. I have another secret for our mystery monoplane. The wings will be made out of flypaper. We will fly into a herd of seagulls. Their feet will stick to the flypaper, and they will flap their wings frantically. That will be our mode of power to make flight to the Sandwich Islands and back to Picnic Land. Egad, how to get rid of this nuisance without violence?
Humph! That nut is off his wheel again and back in my house. Well, in 10 minutes, he'll be going for a buggy ride. Mr. Tarpey is going to take a flight.